he said to two, sorry, I forgot. If he said to two, I adore you so and so and so and so, that if you know testimony from me, that you come and testify for me. And they replied, we swear that we do. So we clearly don't know any testimony for you. And they know hearsay testimony, or one of them was a relative or a person ineligible to testify. They are exempt. If he sent the adoration through his slave, or if the defendant said to them, they adore you, that you, if you know testimony for him, that you come and testify for him, they are exempt unless they hear it from the claimant. If he says, I adore you and I command you, I bind you, they are liable. By heaven and earth, they are exempt. By Aleph Dalet, by Yud Hey, by Shaddai, they are Sivaos. By the gracious and compassionate, by the slow to anger and abundant in kindness, or with any of the substitutes, they are liable. Should one blaspheme any of them, he is liable. These are the words of Reb Meir, but the sages exempt him. Should one curse his father or mother by any of them, he is liable. These are the words of Reb Meir, but the sages exempt him. Should one curse himself or his neighbor by any of these, he transgresses a negative commandment. May God smite you, or so may God smite you. This is the curse written in the Torah. May he not smite you, or may he bless you, or may he benefit you. Reb Meir declares him liable, and the sages exempt him.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Shevuos HaPikadon. So now we're moving on to a different subject. We've been talking about Shevuos HaEidus up until now. Now we're talking about Shevuos HaPikadon, which is an oath of whether you are holding somebody else's property in your hands. And there are basically four ways of doing this, which we've enumerated before. There's a deposit, where somebody gave you something to look after. Okay. There's an avader, where somebody found something of yours. There's gezel, which is something that he stole. And it may be money. I think, hang on, that may be money that he owes for payment for services, which is something that is Magyar to him. I think that's the fourth one. I can't remember. We've seen them enumerated in many other places, which I think we will see. Yes, yeah, we'll see it. We'll see it today. Okay, Tzumas Yad. Tzumas Yad is things that you are Tzumas Yad. You know, let's see that. We've got Pikadon, Tzumas Yad, Gezel, and an Aveda. Yeah, so Tzumas Yad, I think, is something that is that's due to him in terms of payment.
Tzumas Yad in his hand. He has something in his hand.
We'll see what Oswald translates in a minute, just to get the exact wording.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Shevuos HaPikadon is basically talking about where Reuven comes to Shimon and says, "Give me the article I deposited with you," and Shimon says, "I don't know what you're talking about." He says, "Make an oath." And he says, "I take an oath. You never deposited anything with me. I don't have anything of yours in my hands." That's called the Shevuos HaPikadon. Okay, and if he's swearing falsely, then we'll see that the penalty is that he has to bring an asham, and he has to return whatever he denied, plus an added chomesh.
It's not a good word to use, deposit, because in my mind, I always think deposit is money.
Right, you know? but a deposit could also be an object. Yeah.
Right. I see that. Right.
Yeah. Like,
when you said that, I said it's not money, you know. So, all right.
Okay. As distinct from the oath of testimony, this applies to men and women alike, because there's no difference between men and women in respect to these halachas. Where a chokim of the krobim, whether they're unrelated or related, the ksherim of the pasulim, whether they are kasha for testimony or not kasha for testimony, because this has nothing to do with the Beis Din. It's all got to do with the ownership or non-ownership of the object, or possession of the object. Bifnei Beis Din, shalom bifnei Beis Din, and it doesn't matter whether it's inside a court or outside a court. mipi atzmo, mipi acherim, and whether he said it voluntarily himself or whether other people said it to him, said the Shevuot to him. Kati just points out mipi acherim, aval im hushba mipi acherim. If he heard the oath from other people, v'lo an amen, and he didn't answer amen. For example, if the claimant says to the defendant, I adjure you that you should return my my deposit, and the defendant says, En biadi klum. He says, you have nothing by me. That's not called accepting an oath. He's just saying no.
No.
Okay, which is not considered an oath. But if he says amen, that I don't have anything of yours, then he's violating the oath. Okay.
Whenever he violated the oath, so then what happens? They do go to business.
Now he's only chayav for the for violating this oath. Rabbi Meir. So now remember Rabbi Meir, when it talked about the Shevuos of Pikadon, Rabbi Meir said the opposite. He said that even if you swear outside of Beis Din, you'd be chayav. And if we just go back a minute to the previous perek, the machlokes Rabbi Meir and Chachamim. Let's see which Mishnah it was in. So Rabbi Meir says doesn't matter whether it's in Beis Din or not in Beis Din. Okay, and Rabbi Meir here is restricts it and says it's only applicable inside if he makes the denial inside Beis Din. So he's chayav from before, but if he continues the denial in Beis Din, then he's chayav for every time he swore outside of Beis Din. Chachamim omrim bein mipi atzmo bein mipi acherim kevan shekafar bo chayav. The Chachamim here are more inclusive than Rabbi Meir. They kind of flip positions between Shevuos Pikadon and Shevuos Ha'edus. That now Chachamim are saying it doesn't matter if you heard it from other people or from others. As soon as he denies it in the form of an oath, even outside of Beis Din, he is chayav for this, because you don't need the Beis Din for this for this claim. Because Shevuos Ha'edus, by definition, is inside Beis Din. You're giving Eidus in a Beis Din. But here, so if somebody admits that he owes money, which he should do, then he has to pay the money. But you can't give Eidus outside of a Beis Din. So this is the line that the Chachamim take, which of course is the halacha. And he's chayav to bring this korban. Whether he is completely mazed and he knew what he was doing, and he knew he was perjuring himself, and he knew what the penalty was, or if he knew that he was perjuring himself but he didn't know that the penalty would be to bring an asham. Okay, either way, that's called the zadon, and he has to bring the korban. But if he genuinely was mistaken, and he forgot that he had this pikadon, and he still swore the oath, he's pater, because as far as he was concerned, it really was true what he was saying, even though he made a mistake. And what's he chayav for doing this b'mezid, knowing for perjuring himself deliberately? Asham b'kesef shkalim. He has to bring a korban asham with to the value of at least 2 shekels. Which in Mishnaic terminology is 2 selah. Okay, which is interesting, just to bear in mind when it comes to monetary denominations, that the shekel mentioned in the Torah is a selah in the Mishnah, and that selah is worth 4 dinarim, which is or 2 shekels. Okay, so it's a little confusing because the Mishnaic shekel is not the same as the Torah shekel. But you can remember the 4 dinars because the Torah says, for example, for a rapist or a seducer, that the fine they pay is 50 shekels, which corresponds to the kasubah of how much? 200 zuz, 200 dinars. A zuz and a dinar are the same thing. So that's so the amount corresponds over there. You can remember that way that that the 200 zuz of the ksuba corresponds to the 50 shekels mentioned in the Torah. Okay, so Mishnah base. Shevuos hapikadon ketzad. So how does this work? Amar lo, tein li pikdoni sheyesh li biyadcha. So Reuben comes to Shimon and says, "Give me the pikadon that's in your hands." And Shimon says, "Shavua she'ein lach biyadi." I take a shavua, you have nothing in my hands. Or she'amar lo, ein lach biyadi. Or he just says, "No, what are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about." And Reuben says to him, "Mashbiachani," to Amar Amen. And Shimon says Amen to Reuben's adjuration. Okay, Hare ze chayav. That's the classic case of somebody who has made a shvuas, a pikadon. If he was lying, then he brings a korban. Hishbia alav chamisha pamim. If he went up to him 5 times and said, I adjure you every time. Bein bifnei beis din or bein shelo bifnei beis din with kafar. This, of course, is not according to Rabbi Meir, because Rabbi Meir holds that it has to be in beis din. Okay, the kafar, every time he denies it, chayav al kol achas v'achas. He has to bring a separate korban every single time. Amar Rabbi Shimon, matam. Okay, so why is this different from the Shevuos ha'edus, which he brought? We said in the Shevuos ha'edus that once he's denied it once in court, it doesn't matter if he denies it again, because once he's made testimony in court, he can't change his mind. But when it comes to the pikadon, he can deny it 5 times, and the 6th time he say, "Oh, okay, you're right, I have it," and then he immediately becomes chayav. So every opportunity he has to admit the fact that he has the pikadon, he could legally admit it. And since he's denying it every time, he has to bring a korban for every time he takes another shvuah. Mishnah Gimel, Hayu Chamisha Tov Inoso. So there are 5 different people all coming and saying, "Hey, give me." Okay. Amrulo, and they said to him, Tain lanu pikadon sheyesh lanu biyadcha. They're all coming and saying, "Give us the thing that you've got of ours." And he says, "Shvua she'ein lachem biyadi." And he says in plural, "You have nothing. You have nothing by me. I swear." Okay? That's only one avera, because he only took one shvua. Even though there are 5 individuals who are claiming from him, it's one shvua.
It's going to be the same as before we had with other items.
That's correct. We had it before. It all depends on his lashon. If he makes one shavua, even though it incorporates many people, many claimants, is only one. Shavua she'ein lach biyadi v'lo lach. If he starts out to say, "I take a shavua that you don't have anything with me, and you don't have, and you don't," chayv al kol achas v'achas. So every single one, even though he only said the word shavua once, but since he specified each person, it's ki'ilu he made a shvua on each one of them, and therefore he has to bring a korban for each one that he falsely denied. Okay. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Ad sheyomar shavua b'achrona. Says no, you have to make a shavua on the last one. Not shvua at the beginning of the statement, but it says Rabbi Eliezer, he has to make the use the word ein lach biyadi v'lo lach and b'shvua. Okay, because then he's saying that the shvua is applicable to all 5 people. Okay, Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Shimon says, "No, you've got to use the word shvua by each one. Shvua she'ein lach biyadi, v'shvua she'ein lach biyadi, etc." The halacha follows the Tanna Kama that if he says it at the beginning, then it counts for all of them. Okay. Now let's say you have one person coming to another person and making the following claim. So now pay attention to this, because we want to see the translation of Tzumes Yad. Tain li pikadon, Tzumes Yad, gazel ve'aveda sheyesh li v'yadecha. There are 4 different categories over there. Please translate from Upscroll.
It says a deposit, loan, stolen article, and a lost article.
A loan. Tzumes Yad is a loan. I wonder why a deposit would be different from a loan.
We didn't have that before when they listed them. So,
okay. Anyways, so the four different categories of things that could be covered by Shevuos HaPikadon. So if he replies Shvua she'ein lach biyadi, If he just says you have nothing by me, that's only one. If he specifies each category separately, then every single category that he denies is a separate shvuah that he has to bring a korban on. So instead of different categories, they're all in the same category. It's just different types of items. Again, only one. Every single different species that he is individually denying is a separate shvuah that he's chayav on. Chayav al kol achas ve'achas. Rabbi Meir omer afilu amar chita se'ora v'kusemes. Even if he denies using the singular here. Now, what's the chapa over here? That according to Rabbi Meir, the kavana of the defendant is he's saying, I don't owe you a single grain of pita or a single grain of wheat. Okay. Oh, sorry, that's not his kavana. Ela kavana so lemin hachita lemin hasora lemin hakosemes. So he's talking about the species. I don't owe you wheat or barley or spelt. Okay, and he's still saying he's chayav for each one of them. So because he's swearing on each different species. Okay, and therefore if he's lying about it, he's going to have to bring a korban. But the Chachamim say that when he's talking about is I don't owe you one garger, I don't owe you one grain of any of these. Okay, and since the a single grain of wheat or oats or barley, wheat or barley or spelt, each single grain is not even worth a pruta, then his denial is not on the shava pruta, and therefore he's pater.
Okay.
So that's the subtle difference between Chachamim and Rabbi Meir, because that Rabbi Meir is saying that he's not talking about a grain, he's talking about the species. Chachamim say he's talking about the species, and Chachamim say he's talking about a single grain, which is not a Shabbat Prota, and therefore he's pater. Okay.
Right.
Gimel Aleph.
Oaths are of two types, which are in reality four. I swear that I will eat, or I swear that I will not eat. I swear that I ate, or I swear that I did not eat. If he said, I swear that I will not eat, and he ate a minute quantity, he is liable. These are the words of Rabbi Akiva. They said to Rabbi Akiva, where do we find that one who eats a minute quantity is liable, that this one should be liable? Rabbi Akiva said to them, where do we find one speaking and bringing the sacrifice, that this one speaks and brings the sacrifice? I swear that I will not eat, and he ate and drank, he is liable only once. But if he said, I swear that I will not eat and that I will not drink, and he ate and he drank, he's liable twice. I swear that I will not eat, and he ate wheat bread, barley bread, and spelt bread, he is liable only once. But if he said, I swear that I would eat neither wheat bread, nor barley bread, nor spelt bread, and he ate, he's liable for each one. I swear that I will not drink, and he drank many beverages, he's liable only once. But if he said, I swear that I will drink neither wine, nor oil, nor honey, and he drank, he is liable for each one.
Okay.
Oh, drinking oil doesn't sound very good.
Drinking what?
Drinking oil. It said oil.
Yeah, drinking oil. Yeah. That's actually a good point, because we actually bring in halacha other places that, just in the same way as wine has a special bracha. Instead of saying Borei Priya Eitz, you would otherwise say Borei Priya Eitz on wine. Except we've got a special bracha for Borei Priya Gafen. And I think the Gemara talks about, we should say the same for oil, because oil is also, olives are grown specifically for their oil. So if a person drinks oil, then they should say Borei Priya Eitz, not Shakol. And the answer is, but when does anyone ever drink oil? Oil is always a condiment. It's never drunk by itself.
Right. And when it's a condiment.
So what's the drinking of oil that we're talking about here? It seems to be a bit of a stira.
Let me see if it says something here. Well, let me see. Page. No, I can't find it. Oh, it's the other side. Oil. One. No, it doesn't say anything about oil.
Okay, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Let's go some pigeon Haydalad.
When you have it in a salad, like oil and vinegar or something, it's fine. But you wouldn't think of drinking it alone. So I don't know. All right. Hey, Darling. After this, they admit that the second witness and they admit the second witness and examine them. If their words concur, they open with the consideration of acquittal. If one of the witnesses says, "I can present grounds for his acquittal," or one of the disciples says, "I can present grounds for his conviction," they silence him. If one of the disciples say, "I can present grounds for his acquittal," they elevate and seat him among them, and he does not descend from there for the entire day. If there is a substance to his words, if there is substance to his words, they listen to him. Even if he says, "I can't present grounds for my own acquittal," they listen to him as long as there is substance to his words. If they find a reason to acquit him, they acquit him. If not, they postpone his verdict until the next day. Then they pair off, limiting the consumption of food and abstaining from wine the entire day, and analyze the matter through the night. On the following morning, they rise early and come to court. The one who argued for acquittal declares, "I argue for acquittal, and I maintain my position in favor of acquittal." The one who argued for conviction says, "I argue for conviction, and I maintain my position in favor of conviction." One who argued for conviction may argue for acquittal, but one who argued for acquittal may not reverse himself and argue for conviction. If they add, the two judicial scribes remind them, and if they find an argument to acquit him, they acquit him. If not, they take a vote. If 12 vote for acquittal and 11 for conviction, he's acquitted. If 12 vote for conviction and 11 for acquittal, or even 11 vote for acquittal and 11 for conviction, and one says, "I do not know," or even 22 vote for acquittal or conviction and says, "I do not know," they add judges. Up to how many do they add? Up to two by two until they reach 71. If 36 convicts for acquittal and 35 for conviction, he is acquitted. If 36 votes for conviction and 35 for acquittal, they debate each other until one of those voting for conviction agrees with the opinion of those voting for acquittal. Once the case has been decided, they take him out to stone him. The stoning place was outside the court area. As it is stated, take out the blasphemer. One man stands in the courthouse door with flags in his hand, and another stands astride a horse at a distance from him within his sight. If someone says, "I have grounds for his acquittal," that one waves the flags and the horse runs and halts him. If he says, "I have grounds for my own acquittal," they return him even 4 or 5 times as long as there is substance to his words. If they found an argument for his acquittal, they acquit him. If not, he goes out to be stoned. A proclamation goes out before him: "So-and-so, the son of so-and-so, is going to be stoned because he transgressed such and such a prohibition, and so-and-so and so-and-so are his witnesses. Whoever knows any grounds for his acquittal should come forward and present them."
Okay. Aber Kama, Gimel Yud Aleph.
Gimel Yud Aleph. If one bull was chasing another bull and it was injured, and this one says, "Your bull injured it," and that one says, "Not so, it hurt itself on a rock," the burden of proof lies on the one who seeks to exact something from the other. If two are chasing one, this one says, "Your bull injured it," and that one says, "Your bull injured it." Both are exempt. If both belong to one man, both are liable. If one was large and one was small, and the damagee says, "Not so, the small one injured it."
No, you skipped something there.
Okay. If one was large and one was small, and the damagee says, "Not so, the small one injured it."
The damagee says the large one damaged.
Oh, okay. I see what I did. If both belong to one man, both are liable. If one was large and one small, and the damagee says, "Not so, the small one injured it."
Okay, you've got there's something missing there because that doesn't make sense. It's if one was large and one was small, and the damagee says the large one caused the damage because that's his claim is he wants to take damages off the larger animal.
This one says, "Not so, the small one injured it." So it should be the large one.
So the defendant, the damager says, no, the small one is the one who did the damage because then he's going to have a lesser of a liability.
Right. Or if one was Tom and one was Muad, and the damagee says the Muad injured it, and the damagee says, "Not so, the Tom injured it," the burden of proof lies in the one who seeks to exact something from the other. If the injured one were two, the large one and the small one, and the damages were two, the large and the small, and the damagee says, "This large one injured the large one, and the small one injured the small one," and the damager says, "Not so, the small one injured the large one, and the large one the small one." And if one was Tom and one was Muad, the damagee says, "The Muad injured the large one, and the Tom the small one." And the damagee says, "Not so, the Tom injured the large one, and the Muad the small one." The burden of proof lies on the one who seeks to exact something from the other. So in my mistake over here, it was really the large one, not the small. Right?
Yeah.
Right, your bullet, if it's not so, it hurts up on the rock. Let me just change the.
Well, it's not. You are missing words. The not so is the response of the defendant.
Right, not so. It hurt itself on a rock. And, all right. Okay. 11, we have Aleph.
Correct, Dalit. Yeah.
Dalit Aleph. If a bull gores 4 or 5 bulls, one half to the other, its owner shall pay the last of them. If there is an excess in it, he shall return it to the one before him. If there is an excess.
Hold on. I think. Wait, hang on. Baba Tama. I beg your pardon. Wait. Am I in the wrong place? Just a second.
I did Gimel Yud Aleph.
Oh, why did I? This is weird. That's it. The second. Did we skip? I think we missed something because I've got my according to my schedule for the 6th of February, we should be starting on Bava Kama Dalit Gimel, but did we not move our
Dalit Gimel
yesterday? Maybe we didn't do this yesterday at all. So I think we're going to wind up doing 6 Mishnayos today because I don't remember doing this.
All right, so you want me to start? Where do you want me to start?
So anyway, we're on go from Dalit Aleph. We're going to finish in Dalit Hey because I think we must have missed this yesterday.
Okay. If a bull gores 4 or 5 bulls, one after the other, its owner shall pay the last of them. If there was an excess in it, he shall return it to the one before him. If there is excess in it, he shall return it to the one before that one. The later the injury, the more the advantage, and these are the words of the mayor. Reb Shimon says, if a bull worth 200 gores a bull worth 200, and the carcass is worth nothing, this one takes a mana and that one takes a mana. If it goes and gores another bull worth 200, the last one takes 100. As for those preceding him, this one takes 100, and as for those preceding him, this one takes 50 zuz, and this one takes only 50 zuz. If it goes and gores another bull worth 200, the last one takes a mana, and the one before him 50 zuz, and the first one a golden dinner. If a bull is muad towards kind, but not as muad toward those not of its kind, toward man, but not a muad toward beast, or a muad toward small ones, but not a muad toward large ones. For those toward which it is muad, its owner pays the full damages. For those toward which it is not muad, he pays half the damages. They said before Rabbi Yehuda, what if it was muad for Shabbos and not a muad for weekdays? He said to them, the Sabbath he pays the full damages, for weekdays he pays half the damages. When does it become a tam? When it refrains from 3 Shabbos days. If a bull of a Jew gores a bull consecrated to the temple, or if a bull consecrated to the temple gores a bull of a Jew, its owner is exempt. It is said, another's bull, but not a bull consecrated to the temple. A bull of a Jew gores a bull of a Gentile, the Jew is exempt. But if a bull of a Gentile gores a bull of a Jew, whether it be a tam or muad, the Gentile pays the full damages. Okay. Now we should be good.
Carry on 2 more, yeah, because we missed out.
Bull of a person of sound mind gores a bull of a deaf mute, a mentally deranged person, or a minor, its owner is liable. But if a bull of a deaf mute, or mentally deranged person, or a minor gores a bull of a person of sound mind, its owner is exempt. The bull of a deaf mute, a mentally deranged person, or a minor gores, the court appoints for them an administrator, and if they forewarn them in the presence of the administrator. If the deaf mute gains his senses, the mentally deranged person becomes sane, or the minor becomes of age. The bull reverts to his status of a tam, and this is Reme's view. Reb Yossi says it remains in its present state. A bull from the arena is not liable to death, as it is said, if a bull gores, but not that it should be made to gore. If a bull gores a man and he dies, if the bull is a muad, its owner pays ransom. If a tam, is exempt from ransom. Both are liable to death. The same applies to a male child, and the same applies to a female child. If it gores a male slave or female slave, its owner pays 30 selim, whether it was worth a mana or whether it was worth no more than 1 dinner. Okay. That we're all caught up.
All right, now we're caught up.
Okay. Thomas. I'm really bad. Every time I say Thomas, I think of Indiana Jones. It does have to. I can't help it. It's there. It's all right. Aleph Dalet. If the 17th day of Marquez arrived, but rain did not fall, the distinguished individual would start fasting a series of 3 fasts. They may eat and drink after dark, and they are permitted to work, bathe, anoint themselves with oil, wear shoes, and have marital relations. If Rosh Chodesh Kislev arrived but rain did not fall, Bezdin declares a series of 3 fasts upon the entire community. They may eat and drink after dark, and they are permitted to work, bathe, anoint themselves with oil, wear shoes, and have marital relations. If these fasts pass and they are not answered with rain, Bezdin declares a series of 3 more fasts upon the entire community. They may eat and drink only while it is still daytime, and they are forbidden to work, bathe, anoint themselves with oil, wear shoes, and have marital relations. Also, they must lock the public bathhouses. If these fasts pass and they were not answered with rain, the Bezdin decrees a series of 7 more fasts upon them, totaling 13 fasts upon the entire community. These latter 7 fasts are more stringent than the earlier ones, for in these days they sound the shofar and lock the stores. On Monday, they may open the store doors, but partially toward evening. But on Thursday, they're permitted to keep the doors open in honor of Shabbos. These 3 days that they keep talking about, is that why someone said to me, we say this to feel if it rain, and if it rains, after 3 days, we stop. Does that have a connection?
I don't know about that. I think the 3 we're talking about is like Bahab. It's Monday, Thursday, Monday.
Right. Okay, Demai.
And over this, we're doing the Mishna Zayin as well.
Okay. I'm sorry, Mishna.
Zayin, Aleph Zayin and Tainus.
I missed one?
Yeah, you only did 2, so we have to do the 3rd one.
Okay, I'm sorry. If these fasts pass and they were not answered with rain, they must decrease commerce, construction, planting, control those marriages, greeting one another as befits people censured by the omnipresent. The distinguished individual resumed their fasting until Nisan is over, and after Nisan ended, rain fell. It is a symptom of curse, as it is said, "Is not today, not the wheat harvest." Okay. Nice. Okay. Now we have Demai. Okay. Base. Whoever undertakes to become trustworthy must hide what he eats, what he sells, and what he buys, and will not be the guest of an Am Haaretz. But Yehuda says even one who is the guest of an Am Haaretz is considered trustworthy. They said to him, if he is not trusted regarding himself, how can he be trusted regarding what belongs to others? Whoever undertakes to become a Chaver may not sell to an Am Haaretz anything moist or dry, nor may he buy from him anything moist, and may not be the guest of an Am Haaretz, nor may he receive him as a guest in his garments. Rabbi Yehuda says, nor may he breed cattle or be prone to making vows or to be jesting, nor may he defile himself by the dead, but he ministers in the house of study. They said to him, these do not come within the principle. But Chachamim did not require the bakers to separate anything except the quantity of truma, maisers, and challah. Shopkeepers may not sell demai, and all those who supply large quantities may sell demai. 2 are those who sell in large quantities, wholesalers and grain dealers.
Okay. And finally, Caleb.
Okay. Yud Aleph. An oven of stone or of metal is tahor, but the metal oven is tameh as a metal utensil. If it developed a hole or became damaged or cracked and it made a clay coating for it or a supplement of clay, it is tameh. How large must the hole be? Large enough for the flame to pass through, and the same applies. Here to a stove. A stove of stone or metal is tahor, but the metal stove is tameh as a metal utensil. If it developed a hole or became damaged or cracked, and one made feet for it, it is tameh. If one plastered it with clay, whether on the inside or on the outside, it's tahor. Rabbi Yehuda says on the inside is a tameh, but on the outside it is tahor. If one assembled 3 feet upon the ground and joined them with clay so he could set the pot on top of it, this makeshift stove is tameh. If one affixed 3 nails into the ground or so that he could set the pot on top of them, even though he fashioned a place at the top of his makeshift stove for the pot to rest, he is tahor. If one made 2 stones into a stove and joined them with clay, he is tameh. Rabbi Yehuda was a tahor until he makes a 3rd stone or he places the stove near the wall. If the stone was joined with clay and one was not joined with clay, it's tahor.
One more.
Right? If one was set upon a pot, was one set a pot upon a stove and upon an oven or upon a stone and upon a stove or upon a stove and upon a kupak, it is tame. If one set a pot upon a stone and upon a second stone or upon a stone and upon the bedrock or upon a stone and upon a wall, it is tahor. And this was the stove of the Nezirim in Yerushalayim that was built against the bedrock. The stove of butchers, when he places one stone alongside another stone, and one of them becomes tame, the others do not become tame.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, I can't.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
You too.
Okay.
Stay warm.
So, yes, stay warm and dry. Okay. You well. Bye.
Bye.